All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Chronicles from the Cushion. I'm Sheldon Wickwar, a track writer, and now I guess a videographer when I feel like it. We're here at Hayes at RPM Speedway. Tanner Schmidt's over here. You can barely see him. There we go. Tanner, the track announcer, and then in the middle we have Mr. Ryan Kirchoff. Ryan, what's up?
Nothing much, man. Just getting ready for another night.
Yep. Well, before we dive into last night, why don't we always start it by letting the driver kind of talk about how he got into the sport and everything. So just kind of start from the beginning and we'll throw questions your way and we'll get to last night at some point.
Okay. Started out, my dad started racing micro midgets my senior year of high school. And so wrenched on that for him. And then in 2005, he got into an A-mod and helped him with that. And then did that all the way until 2018. And then I finally complained enough that I wanted to do the driving and not the wrenching. And so we found a sport mod and got started in that. And after that, it's just been me, and he ran an A-mod until 2 years ago, and I talked him into going down to that so we didn't have two different things to work on. And so I've been doing it since then, and I'm on my third car. So just kind of, it's kind of been a family thing. My granddad was a racer and went to races when I was growing up, and they took us to the old McCarty Speedway in Dodge and went and watched races there and just kind of got into the blood that way. And when he got into it, I followed along. So it doesn't seem like it's been that long, but been helping him since, I have my 25th class reunion this year. So 25 years of racing with him and helping him. And that's kind of how it all got going.
It's on, right? Oh, okay, well, now it's on.
And now the mic's on.
Yeah.
So, see, I don't do this stuff, man. I'm a dumb race car driver, so it's like
I should have.
I need a lot of tutelage.
Yeah, I should have checked. Anyway, so I guess if you missed any of that, Ryan was just saying how it's always been a family deal racing, and his dad was in an A-mod until up a couple years ago when he moved down to sport mod, and he had started in micros, and Ryan helped him on the micros quite a bit, and then Ryan was tired of helping, so he jumped in a car in a sport mod, and then Jack moved down to a sport mod, and I think I pretty much covered it.
That's pretty much it. And now my son's bugging me because he wants to do it, but he only sees the fun side. He doesn't ever come down and do the work, so that's going to be a ways off, I think.
Yeah. All right, I guess we can kind of touch on the fact that you got your first career win back in 19.
Yep.
June, right?
June of 19, yep.
And then last night you finally broke through to get that second win. How did that feel?
It was a lot of fun. I got to give hats off to everybody that helps us out, but my dad for letting me try some crazy things that we didn't think were going to work, and Brett Berry helped us a lot, and I just didn't in my wildest dreams think any of the stuff that we threw at it would work that well. But everything, sometimes I've had a lot of opportunities and either driver error screwed it up or caution at the wrong time, or just things happen on a racetrack that just doesn't work your way. And so last night was a lot of fun. I just hope it doesn't take 5 more years to get from 2 to 3, but that's racing for you. It's like it giveth and it taketh away. So, but last night was a lot of fun. It was fun to get to have a good car and have everything work out and get to do it at a track that I like here. And, I ran Dodge a lot, and starting out coming to Hayes and Colby and Goodland, where those tracks typically don't have a lot of grip all the time, it was a struggle to get, figure out how to latch a car down to that stuff. And so it's been a chore, but so it means a lot. It was cool to get my first one, but it means a lot more to me to come up to these tracks where typically a lot of guys that come from Dodge tend to struggle come from down there, and so it means a lot to figure out how to run on these tracks with less grip and beat some fast people. So that, I don't know if, maybe we run that race 100 times. I only win it once, but I won it last night, so I'm happy.
I was gonna say, does it mean more winning on a driver's surface where you gotta, feather the throttle, go in and work it because it's super slicked off and 40-mile-an-hour winds?
To me, I don't know about everybody else. I mean, a win's a win, but to me, you have to have everything working on that kind of track. Like, you can have a perfect setup and the driver's terrible and it don't matter. And you can have it the other way where you don't hit the setup right and the driver's not is really good. And so to me, on tracks where it's like that, where you don't have grip in the track and you have to, I mean, it's hard to win races. Like, there's a lot of people that come into this like, oh, it's not that hard and I'm going to win all the time. And it's like, it's not, it's hard. There's good drivers out here and there's Dodge everywhere. There's good drivers. It's hard to do it. And so to do it on a track like that, where it wasn't exactly a track that I've done well on. Yeah, it meant a lot to me to do that last night. So big confidence boost. So hopefully I can continue to do that on tracks that weren't my forte to start. So
that the chassis school is starting to pay off here.
Yeah, it is. Like, that's one thing. The first 3 years, I mean, you ask a lot of people and they tell you, oh, do this, do that, but you don't know what that's doing. And I finally decided, like, if I'm going to continue doing this, because I'm super competitive. I hate going back into high school sports and stuff. I hate losing more than just about anything. And so I told myself I either got to figure out how to do this or I need to pick up golf clubs and do something else and put the time in and the work to get better. And I took that class and watched it. I told Sheldon last night, I bet I watched that thing 100 times, and just taking notes and going back and just slowly started. And that helped both of us really, because I mean, he knew kind of what stuff did, but he'd never done that either. And so to be able to understand when you make a change that this is doing this and this is how the car works, it's paid off dividends. So, and I felt like for a year and a half, like we've been really close to doing some things different. And this year kind of came into the year, like picked up, seemed like about a half second on like Blaine and Tyler and, the fast guys. And it was like, but I was still 2/10 off, 3/10 off, just trying to find that little bit of extra speed. And I think it's just, the more knowledge you have, the less afraid you are to try things because you know what it's going to do. And that's how you learn. And so, yeah, that has been a huge positive for both of us. It's helped us both.
You mentioned the fast cars, and it's really no secret, your class has one of the fastest cars out there and one of the most dominant in the state. I guess I've always kind of wondered and wanted to ask sport mod drivers, how is it to compete against Blaine Ball? Is it kind of a pain in the butt, or is it nice to have a measuring stick, or someone that's so good that you can kind of measure yourself up against, or is it more of just a pain?
I would probably say it's a little bit of both.
It's a big measuring stick.
Yeah, it is. It's like there's times where you're cussing that because you try something and you're just like, damn, I just can't figure out. And it's not just him. I mean, Blaine is fast everywhere, and Tyler is really good, and Adam Weber is really good, and guys that come from other states, they're, these guys are fast, and Hunter Smith is really fast. I mean, there's guys that, can run consistently everywhere fast. And so to have somebody like that, I think that kind of comes down to who you are. Like me, I want that. So it gives me something to, I got to figure out what I've got to do, even though sometimes ticks me off that those guys make it look that easy, and it's frustrating. But you can either piss and moan about it and not get better, or you can figure out a way to try and get better. And do I by any means think that I've gotten to that point yet? I don't know. Last night was nice, to kind of see that I can. Now I may go out there tonight and go, I'm still a long ways away, but to me, it's just that competitive side. Like, I want to be one of the guys that when I show up at the racetrack, people think that guy's got a chance, like Stall Bomber Luke being here tonight, and Blaine will be here, and Tyler will be here, I'm sure. Those guys, it's like I want to be able to be up there racing with those guys because that just makes me better. I'm just a firm believer in the iron sharpens iron thing. If, you want to be fast or you want to be good at something, you go find the fast guys and that's who you're trying to get to. And it works sometimes it don't. But so, no, to me, I don't think that's a bad thing. I would love to race with 20 fast cars and see where I'm at. And so I think that's something that, I'm lucky enough that I have the resources to try and get there, and working on the knowledge end of it. And hopefully we continue to get to the point where we can give him some fits instead of him just giving us fits all the time. So
we've seen here in the last year and a half here, a lot of you guys, like you mentioned, Tyler and Stall Bomber and Hunter Smith and yourself included, and your dad, you guys have had all good runs. Is that the rest of the field catching up to whatever knowledge that the Waltz have had for all these years, or is that maybe kind of them just kind of plateauing off and everybody's still continuing to learn?
That's funny that you asked me that, because me and Luke were talking about that before I came up here, because he asked me that. He goes, do you think we're catching him or he's coming back to us? I really think, like when you have somebody like him that you've got to, when you come to the racetrack, you've got to keep up with that guy or find a way to get to that guy. If he's what Luke said, he goes, if he's waxing everybody every week, by a second a lap or lapping the field or doing all these crazy things, I think that brings us, the guys that like, this isn't good. Like, I got to figure out a way to catch them. And so I think it may be a little bit both ways. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, I know he had a new car last year and he's had to learn different things, but you knew eventually he was going to get there and be fast again. And, but I think there's a lot of, I mean, since I started, there's a lot more competition to be in that top five. I mean, there's just fast cars. I mean, that our class, we've talked about it earlier. We consistently have really good turnouts at the racetrack in Dodge here, Colby, Goodland. They have good car counts in Salina for our class. And I just think that there's guys that have figured things out and went to school on it and done things to kind of try and bring that gap closer. And it's crazy because, like, you've seen it, like last time we were here, Adam, held everybody off, and I've seen Tyler do it, and, I've seen my dad do it. And so, I just think I just think the competition's gotten so good, and I think there's a combination there of, maybe he's wouldn't say slowed down any, because I've seen his lap times, but I think we've kind of came up to him a little bit, and that there's more guys there that are pushing each other to be better. And so I would say it's more, hopefully we're catching up. I don't like to think that it's kind of like golfers say, I don't want to beat anybody when they have a bad day. I don't want to beat anybody when they have a bad day. I want to walk away from the track going, he was pretty fast and I stayed out in front of him, or I got by him. So I think it's probably us catching up, hopefully.
And you mentioned the competition level getting really good between you and your class there, because we've seen when I first started announcing that you guys, kind of like the hobby stocks, you'll get a run where there's 10 cautions before we get lap number 2. And last night you guys went flag to flag, and most of the time, maybe 1 or 2 cautions now, and everybody is that just people staying in the class and learning it and able to kind of know what they're doing, or have all the squirrels just gone away?
No, I think it's probably more. I mean, I think, when I first started, like the first year I came up here with my first car, I almost made the A at Fall Nationals. And I watched that video again and go, if I brought that kind of driving ability in that car back here now, I wouldn't even be close. So I think it's just these guys, I think they're better drivers. I think the equipment's gotten better, and I think these guys, they've been doing it longer. I don't think, and they're still the new guys. Every class has that, and they're going to learn. But I really just think that, out here the competition's grown. And there's really knowledgeable guys out there, and information's easier to find, and chassis builders are better about talking to people, and our chassis builder's really good about talking to us and trying to help us out. And so I just think it's kind of, high tide lifts all boats, that if there's somebody there that eventually they're going to get fast if they hang with it long enough. And there are guys in there. That's kind of what's crazy. There's fast guys that have been doing it a long time, and so that definitely isn't a bad thing. So yeah, it's just an interesting deal how far it's came since I started. Like there's fast freaking race cars out there, and you got to be on it to stay up with them, or they'll kill you by half a second a lap. So it's pretty wild, but it's a hell of a lot of fun running with these guys, so I enjoy it.
I know you will watch races back, and streaming definitely helps drivers do that and everything. I guess when you're watching a race back, are you studying what you did, or are you looking at those cars that beat you and trying to maybe pick up on a thing or two? Or I guess, how do you apply what you're watching to what you do with your race car?
When I'm watching videos, I'll watch different people here and there. I'm more watching videos to see so I can cuss at myself after the fact, like, you're an idiot. What'd you do that for? And now when I look at Red's pictures, I look at other cars' pictures to try and figure out, like, how in the hell are they doing that, or what? So yeah, when I'm looking at pictures, I try and figure out, like, because he's really good about taking pictures of us in the same spots, and so you can kind of see, like, is there a car rolling over more than yours? Is there, so pick things out of those of other guys, but most of the time I'm watching videos just to kind of see, where the fast guys were running. Like if I was leading and somebody went by me, like maybe I can pick something out, like maybe I missed something or so. So most of the time I'm watching me, but pictures I'm looking to see if I can steal something out of getting the zoom in, trying to see where their bars are maybe or whatever, because everybody's really good at hiding that stuff in the pits. So you can't walk by and peek underneath it and look at it. So
you can. You might get yelled at.
Yeah, you get yelled at, and so you just kind of, I don't want anybody coming after me with a jack handle to get mad. But like, what's crazy too is like walking around the pits, these cars are so different. Like, you look at a Slider, you look at our first class, you look at a Fury, you look at, like, it's getting hard to like even look at like another car and go, oh, I see what they're doing. And hell, you look at them now and it's like everything's so much different from a Slider car to our car, not even the same deal. So that's part of the reason why I kind of was like, I got to learn how these things work so I can stop worrying about what they're doing and figure out what my car needs. And so, yeah, so it's kind of both, Yep.
I think another cool question we can start asking guys is, why don't you take us kind of behind or underneath the helmet or in the cockpit when you're getting ready to roll into staging or something? What's like your go-to mindset? Do you have do you listen to music, or do you have any pre-race ritual or anything to get yourself locked in for a night?
I'd like to tell you, like, I listen to Eye of the Tiger or something like that, or hum Thunderstruck or something like that. But honestly, when I'm in staging, I'm just, from what I can see of the track, trying to see if it's getting dirty or if it's not, trying to figure that out. So maybe I can, if I feel like I might be a little off for what I'm seeing, maybe adjust my brakes or something like that. I always say a prayer before I go out there to try and, you know, keep myself safe, because I got a wife and kids, but keep everybody else safe, because, you know, we're all out there competing hard with each other, but I'm friends with all of them too. So just trying to kind of get mentally ready and stay focused on what you're trying to do. And that way, hopefully when they throw the green, you're ready to go and you're focused on what you're trying to do. And, you know, maybe try and play the race out a little bit in your head. Like, what am I going to do going into the corner? And how long do I want to stick somewhere or whatever. But yeah, it's a wild. I remember the first time I got into a car, I was sitting in staging and just going, what in the hell did I get myself into? But the longer I've done it, the more I've gotten to the point where mentally I can kind of get locked in and hopefully be ready to go. And it's kind of like they say, though, everybody has a good plan until they get punched in the face. And that happens a lot too. You go and turn one and go, oh, well, that ain't throw that one out the window. I got to figure something else out. So yeah, I don't know. The prayer is probably the biggest thing. And then just trying to, if I can see anything that's going on out there, try and hopefully prepare yourself for it.
You know, you just said that you like to see if the racetrack's getting dirty or anything. And usually it kind of depends where we go, but most of the time you guys are after the sport compacts. Sometimes you get to go after the hobby stocks. Is there, like, where their lines are on the racetrack, is there anything you can learn from them from what, because you can only see the exit of 4 and maybe a little bit off through 1 and 2. Can you learn from those where the line is, or is it just completely different ball game?
I don't think from those cars. Now, if we get to run like after one of the wide tire cars, we might be able to learn stuff, kind of see where maybe they're entering or whatever. But like, I try and see more of like what the track color is. Like, you know, if it's getting dusty, can I see any darker browns versus lighter browns, or do I see guys tailing out really hard going into the corner to see if it's really slick? And I honestly listen to the motors. You know, if I can hear those things wound up all the way around, I don't see dust, I kind of got a pretty good idea what they're doing. But what's wild is, like, this year, it seems like a lot of our features have been those tracks where you go out there and it's X, and halfway through it just completely transitions to something else. And so that kind of goes back towards you have a plan until things change. And that's one thing I need to get better at, is seeing those changes starting to happen when I'm in the car, instead of, you know, staying in one. Like last night, maybe could have moved up and been a little quicker. But yeah, I don't think we can gain a lot from what the sport compacts and hobby stocks do. So I try not to watch that.
You know, and we talked a little bit last night. Up front, leading, you led the entire race. I told you in the interview, or the victory lane interview, that top was coming in, but, you know, you not really wanting to move off the bottom because it worked for you there. But even if you're back in like a second or a third, how maybe easy or difficult is it to want to move around and try something different, knowing that, you know, it could work and you could go up, you know, a couple spots, or you could, you know, throw the anchor out and go to the tail end?
Yeah. You know, it's easy. I wouldn't say easy, I guess. Easier when you're second trying to run down first, or third trying to run down second, or whatever, to try something else. But it's damn hard when you're running up front, and, you know, they don't let us have mirrors. And so you're just hoping that if you do see a nose, that you can get off the corner well enough to get up in front of them and change. But then again, too, you never know that guy may have slid up off the bottom and he's trying to set you up to come back down and take your line away. So, yeah, it's kind of it's hard to do. It's harder to do when you're in the front, because you don't know if they're just lined up right behind you and you move off and now you're in 7th. So, yeah, to me, it's easier when I'm trying to run somebody down. Is like, well, if I think I see something up there, well, what do I have to lose? You know, I didn't come here to run third. I came here to try and win. So then it's easier for me to try and make that decision. But I don't know if anybody's running up front that it's easy for them to do. They're damn better drivers than I am if they can just freely change lanes and go up. But
we'll try the top for this lap.
Yeah, I can't get myself to do that. And last night the bottom was going away, and If it would have been 20 laps, I may have had a decision to make. But yeah, it's hard when you're running up front. I mean, it's just, you don't know what anything's going on behind you. It scares the heck out of you, honestly. So you just try and stay locked into what you're trying to do, and hopefully, if you hear something or see something, you got enough gap to cut them off. But that don't happen much either. So,
You know, just kind of, I guess, pointing it out, you might be, or you might feel like you're at a little bit of a disadvantage. You know, most guys have someone up in the pit stands or somewhere trying to signal, and you know, where you're dead and you run the same class, you guys are kind of on your own out there and don't really have anyone to maybe make you realize, hey, the top might be the option.
Me personally, you could stick the Kool-Aid man out there and I wouldn't see him like that. I don't know how. You know, I see that when I was a fan and watching a lot. There's guys out there that are, oh, you're doing it. I don't have time for that. It's like, you could put somebody out there and he could show me that. And maybe, like, if you're coming off a 4, you might be able to see, you know, somebody if they've got bright enough clothes and you know where they are. But you're so focused on what you're trying to do that even if I saw somebody telling me to go high or go low, I'd still be like, they're sitting over in those stands, there ain't no way you're seeing that. And you see those guys all the time going, you know, you're way ahead. It's like, he can't see you like that. So yeah, that may help sometimes, but I'm so focused on trying to do what I do that I don't know if I'd ever see it. But if one of you guys ever want to come down there and do it, we can test that theory out.
I'll go get those little lightsaber things that flash for you.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll announce and try to tell you your gap.
Yeah. That's a good thing we don't have radios. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
It would not be good.
Yeah. Well, I see the pits are finally starting to fill up out here, so we're probably getting close to drivers' meeting time, so we really don't want to take too much of your time. I guess, Tanner, any last questions you can think of that you want to holler at him?
I know, I'm pretty sure I know what he's going to say here, but I'll go with the question I asked at the end of my 10 questions on TikTok. If IMCA came to you after the end of this race weekend on Monday, they were going to let you implement a rule, take away a rule for your sport mods. I have a feeling I know where you're going to go. We're going to see. What are you either going to add or get rid of in the rule book?
Probably 2 things that I would lobby pretty hard for. One would be a quick change.
That's the
and
one
I'm
I
sure
thought you were going for.
That's great. That would be nice, just from a taking time standpoint. The other thing that I think would be really nice to have that would save our class money is left front chain, because the way it is now, if you want to run a shorter shaft shock or whatever, you've got to go buy a shorter shaft shock, and it's like you go weld that onto the front and let that do that stuff and save you having to have 3 left front shocks, which I don't do that, but I know a lot of guys that do. So, you know, and that costs you maybe $20 to fix that. So those would probably be my 2 biggest things. Quick change, because sometimes I'm lazy, and left front shock, because I think it saves some guys some money. And I think that's, you know, you've got all different ranges of guys dollar-wise what they spend. So, you know, I think that would help out lower budget guys and things like that. But yeah, that'd be my 2.
I knew you were going to go with the quick change, because
I
I've
think
asked
all
a
of
couple
us-
sport mod drivers, and that's what they went
All
with.
of us sport mod guys are like, I want that. But I see where they're kind of saying it keeps the classes, the A mods and us separate. But I mean, the dollar wise, by the time you buy one and you buy, you know, a 9-inch and buy 3 or 4 gears, you've got a quick change sitting there. So, and those quick changes, it takes me an hour and 20 minutes to change gears with a lift. And so, yeah, that would be nice, but I can see it both ways. So I don't think we're ever going to get that.
You might.
Maybe someday. But if we do, I guarantee I'll have one pretty damn quick.
You're gonna be the first one to order one.
Yeah, I'll have one pretty quick. I'll be getting my hands on one somehow. So
For sure. I guess we'll kind of wrap things up. So, Ryan, if there's anyone you want to thank or shout out, you are more than welcome to, and then we'll kind of end things.
like to say thanks to my sponsors, obviously Bertus Motor, Kearney County Bank, Roger Ratliff Financial. You never remember all of them. Goldfish Shocks, all those guys that help us out. First Class Chassis and First Class Auto Design, and then biggest things my wife and kids, because this takes a lot of time away from them, and my wife's super supportive, and she's always happy when I do well and sad when I don't, and so she allows me to be able to be away for 2 days here and there to go do this. So without them at home, I couldn't do any of it. So big shout out to them.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.